Wrath of Blue Eyes White Dragon comes down on this YCS. Make sure you guys smash the ever-living crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out more. I was going to actually get to talk about YCS Brazil out of this weekend here. We finally have enough deck list and data to actually look at. Now, your top 8 for this event was actually quite impressive. You had 3 Yummy decks cracking through and doing basically what Yummy does best. You know, this deck's job is to, get in there, get things going, and to get as much of the job done as possible. And this also did incorporate a lot of Mitsurugi technology too. So if you're thinking, this is just going to be the, we just get to see the regular old decks. No. This was actually, full force ahead. We get to see all of the madness that Mitsurugi brings to the table. Now, we did have 2 Draco Tail variants. Now, Draco Tail was actually the winner of this event. This is Draco Tail's first big dub. And honestly, I'm more happy to see that actually coming down and actually being amazing to see, Draco Tail finally was successful. We also still get to see Malice running around. Building a Malice deck costs $292 now. It's kind of crazy, the pricing that has dropped on that. We also did have a pure Mitsurugi Challenger running around in your top cut, but we also did get to see Blue Eyes White Dragon making their way into top 8. Which is pretty impressive. Now, out of most of these competitors, Vanquishal was here, Gem Knight was here. We did get to see some Rizel, Sky Striker in the top 32. There's a lot of good challengers still working around, but to get to that absolute point, to make that top cut finish, it becomes very astronomically challenging to try to overcome. And I gotta tell you, when you get an actual pretty diverse top cut like this, it's actually looking pretty good. Now let's pass on over to those deck lists. All right, so starting things off here, we have Draco Tail. Yes, we are actually playing the one Frixel. So first of all, I am glad to see Frixel is getting some play in here, but also Branded Fusion is a good component for this. More of these lists have been adapting towards the Branded Fusion side of things, just because it helps get the deck's components going. Yes, we are only playing one Fallen of Albaz, which, does kind of feel a little bit bad. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to draw this card. I'm going to cry myself to sleep, but it's okay. We're also only playing one copy of the Glumal. We're also going with the triple Artholion, which is very, very nice. We also do get to see Meowls seeing play. I think I'm more happy to see Meowls actually having a place within the meta to actually work with. So that's gorgeous, man. That's the kind of stuff that gets me very, very excited. Also, we are side decking 2 Fenrir, so interesting deck developments. Next up here, we have Yummy Mitsurugi, and I gotta tell you, man, Habagiri is an insanely broken card. He has been allowing so much craziness to actually happen across these builds. Good stuff. You do actually see we are main decking the triple Meowls here too. It feels like Meowls is kind of, especially after this YCS, Meowls is getting some recognition finally at being a card to actually kind of help you out and get your setup. We are also doing the Dark Ruler No Mores in here. Having a card to break apart your opponent's field, I think, is almost mandatory at this point. You do not get the luxury of kind of stepping away anymore from this. We're also side decking the other field spell. You got to remember, if you do need to bring in the Forms of Interruption with this, you can do so. It's just going to depend on the matchup that you're kind of being forced to analyze and accept this into. And then we have more of this. Well, I'm glad to see Futsu actually seeing some play here. The poor Meowls got a push down into the side deck, which I think is perfectly fine, right? Meowls is going to get its chance to actually show up and do its job. So as long as he is still showing up and still being an accepted part of the community, that's good. Yeah, so the Retaliating Seas. Ooh. So instead of, because Solemn Judgment's limited here, I do see that we do get to play the 2 Solemn Warnings in here. This is, you can thank the results of the Forbidden and Limited list for forcing this change. We are also only playing the 1 field spell, the 1. I do see that we are finally doing some other good stuff in here. Cutting off some of the fat is pretty good, actually. But outside of that, these Mitsurugi builds look pretty similar in terms of things. Ooh, we have more Draco Tail. Now this build's going with the Dark End Evaporation Dragon. I have loved seeing Dark End, when he actually can show up. This also gives us access down here to, we get to play the Light End Dragon. Now, unfortunately, we don't get to cheese out any of the funner interactions that we could potentially be wanting to have. I would love to have seen, maybe the Light and Darkness Dragon Lord down here, but no, you're just using these as extra abilities to perform fusion summons. And, this guy just giving you the ability to fusion summon from your hand or field, it's going to be pretty good. All other things considered, most of these builds, you've also noticed that Sting has pretty much been incorporated into these builds too. Like, nobody's really losing sleep over not playing Sting anymore. Everybody's just like, yeah, put it in the deck. Especially in the Mitsurugi matchup, this card gets infinite more value, which is good. Ooh, we have Malice. Even with the state of Malice's restrictions, we're still seeing that these decks have been doing very, very, very well. Something like Malice P. Dormouse still being limited to 1, and, we have the White Rabbits still limited in their current capacities. They're still taking off people, We're not being in this really weird position where these cards are deemed bad right now. No, quite the opposite, actually. We're seeing that, we are getting the chance to still make this deck work. Obviously, the loss of Splash Mage was a pretty detrimental blow to this deck, but it wasn't enough to really send this deck back to the Stone Age. Honestly, it's given it more innovation in life. We do see both of the Malice Trap cards coming in here and doing absolutely wonderful. We are side decking those Dark Ruler No Mores. The fact that Dark Rulers are still doing very, very strong within this this meta is looking very, very nice. And then we have Blue Eyes, the Primite monster itself. Yeah, you're only playing 1 Drill Beam in here. Honestly, while Drill Beam is still one of the best printed modern era cards of all time, we still get to see that, you don't really want to bulk down on this too much. You also do see we are playing 2 Veilers. Actually, no Ghost Bells in this. The meta's kind of shifted a little bit away from the inclusion of Ghost Bell at this point in time, which is not necessarily a bad thing, all right? You just kind of got to accept the fact that as the metas tend to shift around out here, that more and more options kind of tip in other directions. So, never mind, there's triple Ghost Bell right there. Sorry, maybe a little bit tired today. I'm used to seeing, 1 and 2 in the build, so okay. We're also going with the 2 Meows and the triple Arrest down here, so looking pretty good for Blue Eyes. Ooh, just kidding. It's Protos Turbo, baby. See, this is the sad thing. Like, it's really cool to see that, like, Rise on the Onomatomat stuff is being really good, but the problem is you're just bridging into the Nemesis flag to set up the Protos and crack apart the opponent's field. That's such an annoying problem that the current meta has, and it's not one that I'm excited to continue to see. Maybe as time goes on, but I guess on an exciting, happier note here, we are playing the Super Polys and we're side decking the Featherstorm. So if the Protos lock doesn't get you, we'll just get you with the Harpies Featherstorm, right? Because that's exactly what modern era Yu-Gi-Oh needs. More abilities to soft lock and control the opponent definitely is the level of excitement that we need to be seeing with this. So, I don't know. I think this deck is very, very strong still for what it is. And then we've got, oh boy, more Mitsurugi, but this is playing the Sulfachord package. Now, this is not exactly the greatest extension here. Doing 1 Cutia, triple Primora, and 1 copy of Sulfgia, but also the triple Happiness itself, which does pull out 2 Pendulums, which is really, really strong, but we're also setting up the Kulia here, which is going to be your primary big piece of the puzzle. And of course, we have to have the Ghost Reaper, right? Taking care of those problematic cards from the opponent is exactly what this deck wants to do. But what do you guys think about everything? Please leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think, and I will see your beautiful faces back here in a day, guys. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.